I'm your #1 fan.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
My mom and dad are gonna be...
I see dead people.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, I screamed. Sorry.
Yeah, you yelled a little bit.
Sorry. I'll go back here. Hi, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Killer Cuties podcast. You usually get to say that part. I wanted to this time. So.
Yeah, I do usually say that.
Yeah, I snatched it right up from under you.
Horror news.
All right, take us away.
All right. Sam Raimi? That guy,
I think Remy.
Evil Dead guy.
I've heard of him.
He's coming back to horror with a movie called Send Help. It's set on an island, and it's described as a mix between Misery and Castaway.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. It's not green-lighted yet. Greenlit? Greenlit.
Okay.
But Deadline reported that it's all but confirmed.
Got it.
So it's like basically confirmed. And then the script is written by the same guy that wrote Baywatch. So that could be fun.
That's a lot of elements.
Yeah.
Misery,
Castaway.
Baywatch. All vibes. I'm into it.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Nice. Warner Brothers has set a release date for the 4th installment of the Conjuring series.
Cute.
It's supposed to come out September 5th of next year, 2025. And Michael Chavez is the director. And he's done a few others in the franchise as well. He did The Nun 2 and The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Which was the
worst
third one
of them.
Yeah, I don't want to be rude, but those are not the best installments in this franchise. So I can't say I'm super excited, especially because me and The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It have personal beef. Not really, but like I have beef, and so it's personal, just like me and Jared Leto. So like it's on site. Like I hate that movie. So sorry, I probably shouldn't say that to you because it's gonna like sully your. Hopefully, by the time we ever watch it, you'll have forgotten that I said that. But anyways,
literally don't even know what movie you're talking about already.
I hate it. Anyways, so yeah, September 5th. Woo!
Well, September 29th of next year.
Oh.
We also get The Bride, which is a Frankenstein and His Bride movie starring Maggie Gyllenhaal and Christian Bale as Frankenstein.
Oh my god.
It's
Batman
reunion.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
So fun. Cool. September. Big time next year, apparently.
Yeah. Of next year, not this year. Next year.
Yeah, next year. This year, calm down.
Yeah.
Next year, slapping.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. And I'll probably get pushed back.
Yeah. You're going to eat those words.
Yeah, always do.
Yeah.
Last bit of news for me. Hashtag AMFAD. All my friends are dead. Is an upcoming slasher that's supposed to release on August 2nd. I've never heard of it. Apparently it's getting a limited theatrical and a VOD release on that day. A short summary of it. Yeah. Is a group of close college friends get a steal on a killer Airbnb for the biggest musical festival of the year. A weekend of partying quickly turns to the worst, and as the group is murdered one by one, they soon discover that each of their deaths correctly corresponds to one of the deadly sins. Anyways, I'm gonna be honest, sounds terrible, but the only reason I bring it up is because it's gonna star the one and only Jojo Siwa.
You're joking.
I'm not.
You're joking.
I'm Joe serious.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's a trailer for it, so you can see dream guests on our podcast trailer.
She's in it. Like there's like already footage of her acting in it.
I think she's in the trailer. Yeah, her face is in it.
Holy shit!
I didn't watch it, if I'm being honest, because I found out about 3 minutes before we started.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have had time.
But yeah, no, I got really excited. Also, I drove by Studio Siwa today, so
cute. I did see that.
Yeah, Yep. Right here in Burbank, dancing her heart
Well,
out.
Another thing to not look forward to.
I'm gonna watch it.
Well, of course. I do really, it should not be understated. I do love a VOD release. Because I cannot be asked to go to the theater.
Ever since I got the AMC list, the A-list thing or whatever, I kind of like it. Because it's free.
Well,
it's not free.
but
it's not.
I get
it. I've been averaging $5 per movie.
Yeah.
I've been going to a lot of movies, so
that's not bad.
I've been getting my money's worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So today we are talking about Longlegs. New movie in theaters now. So I'm going to kick us off with a little bit of a movie review and an overview of the movie as a whole. FBI agent Lee Harker, played by Maika Monroe, is assigned to an unsolved serial killer case that takes an unexpected turn, revealing evidence of the occult. Harker discovers a personal connection to the killer and must stop him before he strikes again. That's from Google. This was written and directed by Oz Perkins. We've talked about him before and his connection to Anthony Perkins. It stars Maika Monroe as Lee Harker and Nicolas Cage as Dale Cobble, or Longlegs. Currently has an 88% critic score, a 68% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 7.5 on IMDb.
Crazy. It's also rumored to have only had a $3 million budget, and it's had a really successful opening weekend. It's already made $20 million, and it's been out for 2 days.
Yeah, I think it was it number 2?
Yep.
At the box office? Yeah.
Yeah, it's only below Despicable Me 4, which is...
expected.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
People fucking love Minions.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And it's really the only kids movie out right now, so if you're going to the theater with your kids, you're going to see Despicable Me.
That's fair.
Yeah. And if you're not going to see a movie with your kids, you're going to see Longlegs, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I did see this twice.
Really?
I have reason for it. But yes, I went to see it Thursday when it, first day I could. Theater was packed, obviously. And then even when I went to see it this morning, theater was still very, very full. But yeah, I guess, should I say why I saw it twice?
Yeah, why did you see it twice? I thought that's where you were going with that. And then you just stopped talking.
I was just trying to explain that it was very full, the theaters were popping. But yeah, then I kind of revealed that I saw it too. But the reason I did was because there's this scene at the end where they flash back to Lee sitting in her room, and there's this shadow of the devil behind her, right? The horns, and it kind of almost fades into view for the audience. There was another scene where I had thought that I had seen the shadow, and I was like, did I actually? And then I wanted to go back, and I found many more instances of him in the background. And so I was just kind of looking for that. And I'm sure there were more. But if you missed it, you can see the horns in the background when Lee is listening to the 911 call. At the very beginning, when she's got all the papers spread out, it shows him in the back. It's mainly just the horns that I saw that time.
Yeah.
And then when Longlegs is reading in the basement, this was the scene I was pretty sure I was that's it, right? Because it changes angles to the thing, and then you can see him coming towards him. After Lee hears the gunshot at her mom's house, when she moves into the other room, you can see him in the window behind her. Then obviously in the flashback, which was the most obvious one. And then at the very end, when Carter invites her in and then shuts the door, you can see it in the reflection of the door as well. Yeah. You saw all of those?
I saw all of those.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm actually genuinely surprised that you didn't see all of them, because...
No, they happen so fast.
Yeah, no, I specifically commented on how good the cinematography was, that it just kind of drew your eye there.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you didn't have the same experience as I did with that.
No, I think the 2, I was yeah, okay. And then the rest, I wanted to go back and see more. Were there other ones that you saw?
There were probably 5 or 6 of them. How many did you just say?
I said 5.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You might have gotten them all then.
Okay, because I went on Reddit and people were saying it was in other scenes too.
Yeah,
and I don't remember seeing them in any others, but
there's at least 5, probably more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But interesting. I kind of like that when they do that.
Yeah. For me, I mean, it didn't take away from the true crime feel of the movie at all.
Okay.
Because it was, I mean, I don't know if now is the best time to talk about it, but I mean, I have my feelings
it.
about what this movie is about. Is that what we're doing? Are we explaining it now? Do we explain the movie now?
Just go for it, you know?
All right. I mean, I don't know if this is right, but I saw this film as like an allegory of religion or some other kind of ideology that has a leader. Even like politics would kind of fit under that, where Longlegs is obviously representing the leader. The mother is one of the like disciples. And then the dolls, again, this is just to me, represented the kind of dangerous ideas that can be delivered by someone seemingly harmless that then take root and cause harm and hate and fear and like ultimately self-destruction. That's kind of how I saw the whole movie. And I forgot where I was going with this. So to me, it was a very like lighthearted isn't the right word, but like a very small representation of that like hate, the devil, the like black smoky figure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Lurking.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Thank you.
I see it as Oz Perkins has mommy issues.
Yeah, fair.
And he has every right to.
Yeah. I mean, he said this was about his mom.
Yeah. I think him and Nicolas Cage both like dedicated it to their mom, which is a crazy thing to do.
Crazy.
Considering who the mom is in this.
Yeah. Well, Nick said that his performance was inspired by his mother, which is, I don't know if it's worse to be inspired by the mother in the film or by Longlegs. Ooh.
Yeah.
He also said that there's a character from Juliet of the Spirit. Juliet of the Spirits? Yeah, Juliet of the Spirits is a 1965 comedy drama. There's some sort of like androgynous priest character in it. The voice specifically of Longlegs was inspired by that.
Okay. Which voice?
The Longlegs voice.
Yeah, he does like 3.
Oh. Well, I don't know.
I feel like he does when he's like talking to the kid. Well, I guess Lee, when she's a kid.
Yeah.
When he's talking to her, it's that very like almost high pitched, like cuckoo, you know, type of weird voice.
Yeah.
But then in the interview, he actually does like the one moment where I felt like he actually scared me, where he like has his like low look and he's like got that gravelly deep voice and it's like almost like that. And then he's just got his Nick Cage voice when he's singing and yelling in his car.
Yeah.
Those were the 3 voices that I felt were happening.
Well, the Nick Cage voice for me was the character putting on a voice. That wasn't the character's voice. The character's voice for me was that kind of like high-pitched falsetto.
See, I felt like that was more of his affected voice. Because when he's alone in the car yelling, when he's like doing that yell, like that was a very Cage moment.
Yeah.
And I think those were the only moments that like took me out of his performance a little bit. Like I was really hoping that this was going to be like, I don't. So this is his second collaboration with Neon, and his first one was Pig, and I think he's fantastic in Pig. I think that's one of, if not his best performances.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping in this one, I would be like, I wouldn't see him at all in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be that like good of a character acting.
Mm-hmm.
And there were parts where I was like, Cage went Cage.
Yeah.
He did his Cage thing, and it took me out.
The scene in the car, especially, was that. But, I mean, had that scene not been in it, I don't think that scene added anything to the character at all.
No, I think it just kind of, like, played into mirroring between that and then later when Lee is, like, screaming in the car.
Yeah.
It's, like, almost
making
mirrored.
that parallel. Yeah.
But other than that, even that, I don't think was, like, deep enough that it really needed to...
Yeah.
But I think when he sang to the mom, too, that felt Cage to me.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is that Nick specifically said that he was so excited to play a character where he was unrecognizable. Because how liberating that would feel.
Yeah. For most of it, I think he did that.
Yes. They're just to your point.
Few moments, I was like, Cage.
There's Nick Cage.
You went and did Cage again.
Yeah. There's a YouTube video. It's like, I don't know, probably 3.5 minutes long, called Nicolas Cage Losing His Shit. I have that entire video memorized.
Oh
The
my
entire
God.
thing. I'll do it for you sometime. It's a fun party trick.
I
To just,
can't
like,
wait.
Do it
One
like
woman
this and then
cage
go
show.
behind it. Yeah, I'll do it. But anyway, like there were some scenes in this like, oh my God, that would go perfect in that video. Nicolas Cage losing his shit. Highly recommend.
What did you think of his face? Because that was like a whole thing in the marketing. They didn't want to show it. They didn't even show it to Maika Monroe until the interview scene. Like,
yes. I mean, I told you I had it a little bit spoiled. I saw the bottom half of the face, and then I had like the kind of idea of it was botched plastic surgery spoiled.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like that really took me out of the film at all. I was actually still terrified by seeing him the way he, I think
it didn't take me out of the film. I think I don't know. I guess I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting him to look like a housewife. I wasn't expecting botched Botox and filler.
Yeah. I mean, somehow they made that
creepy.
scary. Yeah, it was really creepy. I mean, and yeah, they did a very good job kind of. I mean, I've been saying this for the past like 6 or 8 months, like at least 25 episodes, that horror movies are astronomically more fun when you go into them blind. And the team of this movie did such a good job forcing people to go into this without any preconceived ideas of what he would look like. Yeah. That like most, if not all people in the audience got to experience him organically. And I think that's really paying off for people. I think people did enjoy seeing him for the first time in the movie. But yeah, I don't think that even with what I did see, which was not a full face reveal, I don't think that spoiled it for me. And
it shows the first half of his face like in that opening scene.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you got like the full interview effect right away, which is good.
And I think you're right. I think that was the picture that I saw was like right before he does like the bend down thing and then it cuts to red or whatever color it did. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw.
Yeah. Whatever color. Yeah. It was definitely red.
Well, I mean, it could have been black and then red. I don't know.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the like changing aspect ratio. Yes. Stylistically, like this movie is insane.
Yes. Totally agree.
We'll just say that. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And
I don't even think that's an opinion. I think it's like a very stylistic, well shot film.
Yeah. It's a beautiful movie, which is a weird thing to say for a horror movie.
It's not. It absolutely is.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved that. I also think it's a really accessible big brain movie. Like it's not big brain, but it could be if you think real hard like I did. And you do like the whole allegory of religion thing.
Yeah, but I don't even think that that's super big brain. Well, like it's clearly about religion.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, I guess. I just think it's a good transition film where had we watched movies in the order that I maybe should have watched them, starting with like Scream and Halloween, then after we did all of those, this would have been a good like transition to Martyrs, Skinamarink. You know what I mean? Some of the big brain intense movies.
Skinamarink, huh? All right.
Well, I'm not saying that I like that movie. I'm just saying it was.
This might have been a gateway for more like abstract horror, I guess.
Yeah.
Ones where you got to put your little thinking. Maybe like I Saw That TV Glow, you know, where it's like that's a very metaphorically driven film.
Yeah.
I just saw someone on Twitter complaining about millennials using phrases like totes my goats and cool beans.
Well, you know what? They can get fucked.
Honestly, at this point, like, let them have it. You know, I loved making fun of older people when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So go off.
I'm not going to stop.
Beans. No, I'm just going to revel in the fact that I am a millennial and it's the life I've always wanted to live.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? I can't change it.
Yeah.
You can pry cool beans from my cold dead fingers.
Yeah.
Hot Rod shaped me.
Yeah. And I can't wait for your kids to make fun of you for saying stupid shit like skibbity toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the cycle of life, right? You say dumb shit, and then people make fun of you for it.
Yeah. Calls coming from inside the house, folks.
It is, and it always will be.
It always will be. Always will be. What did you think this movie was about? Just religion? Nothing? You didn't big brain this at all? It was just like, oh, yep, that was about a murderer doing the devil's work.
Yep. I don't want to like reveal too much. I think I can't. I don't think I can talk about this movie without expressing somewhat of like what my rating might be.
Okay.
So I think we're just gonna start with that, right? Like I'm just gonna talk about it, and you can assume what you'd like to about what my ratings will be.
Okay.
I think this movie started out as this like cool detective cat and mouse thriller, and they even like talked about that in the marketing for it, right? People were describing it like Silence of the Lambs. It's the demonic Silence of the Lambs. It's like Cure. It's like Memento. It's like Seven. That was a disservice. They should not have compared it to those movies. I do not think it was as good as those movies. I do not think it was as well written story-wise as those movies. That's my opinion. I think the third act fell apart completely. I thought it was bad. The third act. First two acts, fine. They lost me in the third act. I don't know. I don't know where I thought it was going to go. Demonic dolls was not it at all. And I feel like they just pivoted from that whole cat mouse detective thing. They're like, let's just kill off Longlegs, and now it's a mommy issues movie. And that was like the choice that they made. And I wasn't a fan of that choice. There are a lot of things I really, really liked about this movie. Third act was not one of them.
Interesting. I did not know people were comparing it to Silence of the Lambs.
They absolutely were.
But I also compared it to Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
This is modern Silence of the Lambs. Lee is literally a mix of Starling and Graham, which are the two Hannibal agents. Like, that's... And I love that about her. I love both of them.
I loved Maika Monroe in this movie, and I really liked her character, too.
Yes. Thank you. Which, on a related note, not exactly related to this movie, but in my research for this movie, because I was thinking Silence of the Lambs, I found this paper in the American Journal of Psychotherapy. It was called Hannibal Lecter, The Honey in the Lion's Mouth.
Oh.
Remind me to link it in the description. It's a psychoanalysis of Hannibal and his childhood trauma. I would love that for the character of Longlegs, because it was a great read. It was so fun. And I highly recommend reading it if you have a spare half hour.
Stand by the fact that you can't name your kid Hannibal and not expect him to be a cannibal. It's like naming your kid Herderer.
Yeah, it's kind of... Honestly,
you're setting him up for...
Yeah. Oh, God.
Well, good. I mean, you like Silence of the Lambs, so I'm glad that this did it for you.
Yeah, I did like Silence of the Lambs. What fun facts do you have? We haven't talked about any fun facts. We've only talked about explained the movie.
Okay, fun facts. Oz Perkins only had two actors in mind for Longlegs, and that was Nicolas Cage. And then Brad Pitt, which is crazy, because that man could not do this role.
Also, he's a piece of shit.
He's a terrible person.
Hate him.
Yeah. I can't imagine ever wanting to do work with him.
Yeah. And maybe because he has had a lot of work done, he just kind of saw it in him.
Should have gotten Mickey Rourke if we wanted someone.
Oh, Mickey. I'm
just saying.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
They would not have had to do as much special effects work.
Yeah. Which, on that note, they had kind of like the general idea of what his face was going to look like. Yeah. But I guess they just started like putting prosthetics on him and like maybe do a little more on the chin, maybe do a little bit more on the cheeks. So they just kind of kept like Mod Podging it all together until they finally had, okay, this is the look.
Yeah.
Cute.
Just a Mod Podge. That's what it is. I like it.
Me too. Totally unrelated. Completely unrelated. Did you know that Maika Monroe is a professional kiteboarder?
I didn't, but I love that for her.
Yeah, me too. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Go kiteboarding.
I've always wanted to be both an actress and a professional kiteboarder.
Yeah. That's the real message of Longlegs.
Yeah.
You can,
You
in
can.
fact, be an actress and a kiteboarder.
Yeah. Yeah. What even is kiteboarding?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just accepted that was a sport that I knew nothing about, like every other sport.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the one where you stand on the board and there's a kite and it's in the water.
Kiteboarding or kite surfing is a sport that involves using wind power with a large power kite to pull the rider across water, land, snow, sand, or any other surface.
Wait, so what kind of kiteboarding does she do? What kind of board? Is she on a skateboard? Is she on a surfboard? Is she on a...
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
It combines the aspects of paragliding, surfing, windsurfing, skateboarding, snowboarding, and wakeboarding. I think it's just like boarding, but with a kite.
Wind. Yeah. Okay, fun.
Love that. Oh, another fun fact. The different types of ciphers that Longlegs uses. He uses symbol substitution ciphers, number substitution ciphers, and a Visionaire cipher with the keyword Longlegs to decode the messages.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, too. They didn't seem like that complicated of messages. It'd been like 20 years, and they couldn't decode one until Lee came on?
Well, I think one of the things that made them difficult to decode, well, first of all, Lee got the cipher.
Well, she got a code to a cipher. They had other messages from him because he was leaving them at every crime scene, and he was leaving them with the code word Longlegs.
Right,
that was the code word to most of them.
He also gave her more than that.
Yeah, he gave her some filled in, but like those are very common ciphers to use.
But it was a mix of the three, and
with the code word.
it was true. And it was inspired by the Zodiac Killer, who regularly had grammar and spelling errors, which made it harder to decipher. So did Longlegs.
Yeah. And you know who decoded Zodiac sign or cipher?
Twitter.
No, a couple who liked crosswording. Just random people. They just liked crosswording and they could figure it out.
Weird. And like pretty recently, right? Like that was not that long ago.
It was like within the past like 10 years.
Crazy.
Sure. Yeah. Anyways, just saying. I had some questions. I liked some of the foreshadowing in this. When they're showing the taped interview of him and he's like, you're going to come to the birthday party, and you're going to come to the birthday party, and you are, like, you're invited, and you're invited. He's, like, turning to the people in the room, and he turns to Browning, Lee, and Carter, saying, you'll be there for the birthday party. And Brown and Carter die, and then Lee is there for the birthday party. So that was kind of fun.
That is kind of fun.
And kind of creepy that he, like, would know where they were standing in the room. Or, coincidentally.
He's the devil.
I don't think it's coincidentally.
No, he's the devil.
They kind of were like, oh, like the first two acts were like kind of grounded, right? It was like grounded fantasy where it was like, oh, like a little ambiguity. Is she psychic? Like she only got half of them right, so it's like there's ambiguity. And then by the end they were like, no, it's Satan and dolls, no ambiguity.
But again,
we're taking that away.
I think the dolls were a metaphor for like the word. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Another piece of foreshadowing.
Okay.
Then right after that interview, when Lee asks where he's being held, Browning says he's right below you. Like he's in the basement right below you.
Oh yeah.
Which is fun because he literally was living right below her whole life in her mom's house.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And then the last one that I liked was that in her FBI clairvoyance test, when shown, it's like showing her pictures and she has to associate words with them. She says father when it shows an upside down triangle. Yeah. So I think that was very much like suggesting not only her connection to Longlegs, but to Satan himself, right? So yeah, I thought there were some really like cool moments. And then they also had a moment where they were like, this is the birthday murderer. He murders people on their birthdays. And then immediately after, the little girl's like, are you going to come to my birthday party? And that was just shit for it.
Yeah.
That was the laziest piece of foreshadowing I've ever seen in a fucking movie.
Yeah, that was, I specifically, that moment took me out of the film. I was like, oh my God, obviously something terrible is going to happen to her.
Yeah.
Or like that family is going to be the victim.
And why didn't, Detective Carter just didn't think that that was relevant at all? Like, he didn't think, oh, I have an age-appropriate daughter who's whose birthday is on the 14th, and that's not... Also, why the 14th? It's fine.
Is that a devil? Is that a devil number?
No.
I don't know. You know, I know the perfect time for that to be foreshadowed?
Mm-hmm.
When there's like the looking down at her desk, and there's like the Longlegs, you know, the envelope?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just like a piece of mail, like you're invited to my birthday party. Just super casual. You're invited to the birthday party of Miss whatever her name was.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
something casual.
Yeah, it was definitely too on the nose the way that they did it.
Yeah.
And then it was just, I don't know. I just don't see Detective Carter not thinking that his daughter could potentially be a victim for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they needed, okay, the 14th, I guess, could be explained because he needed something like central in the calendar so that he could do the triangle thing. Also, I love how she figures that out by writing down the calendar in a way that no human has ever written down the calendar in their life, and then folding it in half to make it a triangle. That was fun.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
The middle of the month would be 15 or 16.
Yeah, you would think.
Not 14.
It's February.
Well, I mean, I guess if you account February, then it would be 14.
Yeah, but you're gonna move it to the 14th just for 1 month?
What's
Why wouldn't you just do the 15th?
365 divided by 12 is 30 divided by 2 is 15. Yeah, it should have been 15.
Should have been the 15th.
Wow, what an idiot.
What an idiot.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know. I think, yeah, there were just some things in there that I was like, how did we get here? Like, she shows a picture to Carter, and she's like, this is him. And so they're like, start the manhunt. And immediately they just find him at a bus stop. Like,
well, I think there was some
what?
time. I think there was a
But not for us.
there.
Like, there was no... I don't know. It was just like, I thought we were going to, like, see more of, like, this cat and mouse, like, him taunting her, and I don't know. It was just like, no, he goes to a bus stop and turns himself in. And also, okay, so he's doing these crime scenes, and they're like, oh, like, he's just a ghost in the wind, right? Like, we only know that these are connected because he's leaving us these letters. There's no evidence of, forced entry or any DNA in the house or any evidence that he was in there at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the mom was.
The mom was, yeah.
So how was she not leaving any evidence? Because you're telling me that any competent blood spatter analyst couldn't tell? She was in the wake of it for half of those?
Yeah.
It shows her with blood all over her. Put Dexter Morgan on the case, okay? Because he's figuring it out.
Yeah. And killing the guy.
So that part didn't make sense at all. Because
yeah, that's fair.
It was way creepier to think, like, oh my god, he literally is, like, doing this without being there for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is he doing this? And then the answer is that it's a killer doll and the mom is there. But she should have seen the evidence. Like, she wasn't wearing gloves. She didn't have her hair pulled back. Like,
yeah,
I just don't buy it.
I mean, again, it was not a killer doll.
It was a killer doll.
The doll was a vessel for the devil.
Yeah, but why?
But why did it have to be a devil can't just walk right into a person's house.
Why not? He can make someone kill their whole family. Was he a vampire? He's got to be invited in? Like, what? I don't understand the rules.
I mean, he doesn't just go walking around.
Also, he lived at the mom's house. So when they found him at this bus stop, like, he walked there. Was he not in distance? Did they not think that that was weird?
I could not tell you.
How did they even know to go to that bus stop? We don't know.
I think that was all very in the weeds. That was just, it's just left to your imagination.
But I need to know, because if his permanent address was her house, how did they know to go to that area?
He does not have an address.
He lives in her basement.
He doesn't have an address.
But
the way he tried to make himself
how would
so
they find
different,
them?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I just don't know. Maybe he bought a bus ticket and they put it on his credit card, and he went to the bus stop and they knew to find him there.
That guy looks like he has a credit card.
It's too in the weeds.
Anyways.
I'm the first person to complain about not enough plot, but I think you're too in the weeds.
No, I don't. I think you're too out of the weeds.
It just didn't bother me. It's a time jump. Whatever. They found him. They did all the detective work in the background.
I think also, though, like, one of my issues is that when I had some of these questions, I was like, well, let me see. Like, let's listen to Osgood and see what he said about it. And, like, the first thing I could find, which I was like, why is he even called Longlegs? There's that one throwaway line at the beginning that's like, I put on my long legs. I can't see it. And I was like, is that it? Like, that's why? And then I looked it up, and he was just like, oh, I just like words. It sounded 70s to me. So, like, he doesn't know either. And that was what really got me, was I was like, okay, so now in my head, every plot hole, every unanswered question is because he didn't know. And I don't like that.
That's fair. I mean, I would rather them not know the answer than try to force feed us a stupid answer.
I would too, but I also think, like, if it's that prominent of a question, like, it's gonna bother me.
Maybe. I don't know. Also, for a movie called Longlegs, there was not a single scene of Longlegs.
I immediately posted a Letterboxd review in our Discord that was, let me actually look at it, because I want to shout out their name at least. Isaiah Quinones wrote a review that just said, I feel like my legs are probably longer. That's really funny. That's my favorite review of this movie. But I did see some people on Reddit saying that they felt, I didn't see this at all, even on my second watch, where they said that after Lee is, like, incapacitated because her doll is shot, and she, like, wakes up in the basement.
I still don't understand that.
Thank you. And then when she gets up and is, like, kind of, like, stumbling through the house, they were like, I swear her legs looked longer in that scene. I did not see that. And they were like, yeah, that's why she's stumbling. And I was like, no, she's stumbling because she was just incapacitated. Like, what do you mean?
It's a fun theory, but no.
It is, but I did not see that visually. Yeah, no. If they did do that, it was very subtle.
Yeah. And also that line that I got my long legs on or whatever. I just quoted it like you just said a minute ago. Not how it's actually said in the movie.
No, that's exactly how it's said.
Got it. Felt like an ad lib from Nick. That didn't feel like something in the script. To me, I was like, are they just, like, trying to put the name of the movie in the script? Or
I don't know. It felt scripted to me, but it did feel like is that it? That's it? That's why he's called this?
Yeah.
I don't.
And so if she doesn't remember that he's, like, you know what I mean? Like, if she doesn't remember all of this.
Yeah.
Who was there to be able to call him? Oh, I guess he called himself Longlegs. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
He called himself Longlegs. And that was, like, he wrote the letters because they were able to, like, I think the mom was just leading them. Yeah. And then why the mom?
So it was the mom in the house. It was the mom in the daughter's house. The mom left the letter.
That was him. Because you could tell it was him from his.
I couldn't tell. I just saw a figure.
Oh no, I could see his hair was. I think that was him.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was also like that scene was so creepy to me. Like her going outside and then just like seeing him in her house behind her was like, you know. But then she goes inside, like does 2 checks, and then she just sits down at her desk, and there's like creaking noises next to her.
Yeah.
And she just like looks and then goes back to her letter. And I think that was the moment where I was like disarmed completely. From that moment on, it didn't scare me anymore because she didn't feel as though she was in danger, and I'm already led to believe that she's psychic. So I believe her when she does not feel in danger. Yeah. And so like any tension that moment had built kind of dissipated in that scene.
Oh.
For me.
Didn't have that effect on me because I was like, what the fuck? Why are you so casual? That's another scene where you see the devil, though, is when she looks outside into the forest. Did you mention that scene?
Oh, no. I just saw
there's
like the thing.
Little black wispy figure.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Also, I don't think it was ever addressed that the letter said don't open until January 14th, and she's just like opening it immediately.
Yeah.
Unless
Which that was like,
well, so here's the other thing is maybe that was another one of those weird time jumps where she gets the letter, do not open until January 14th, part 2, then she's sitting down opening the letter. So maybe, and that's why
she was in the same clothes. And also it couldn't have been because it was her birth. That was the upcoming thing, and they were waiting for the thing to happen on the 13th. So the 14th never happens in the movie. The birthday party is on the 13th.
On the 13th.
Because it's before the 14th birthday, because that's what they were waiting for the triangle to complete.
Right.
So that wouldn't have worked. Sorry.
Why did she open it early?
I don't know. She wasn't scared.
Stinker.
No. I think that's like what I expected more of, was like him communicating to her and her kind of like keeping it a secret from other people. Like that was more interesting to me, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's like, how did you figure this out? Well, I looked just long enough. Which I did think was like a fun callback to him earlier being like, you can look too hard, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no, I look too, like, just hard enough. Which I liked that as like a cover up. But like, then there was no more of that kind of like her having insider information and keeping that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And why did the mom shoot the doll? I guess to like give her memory back, or like to remove her psychic ability, but then Satan calls her on the telephone, which apparently he can do, and just tells her where to go anyway.
Well, I mean, obviously he can't walk into the room, but he can call you on the phone. Yeah, I don't know. I there were definitely some parts about the dolls that I didn't understand fully, but
yeah.
Again, it didn't bother me.
Same interview. Oz Perkins. They're like, oh, what about the dolls? Are we going to get more info on that? How do they work? He says, yeah, I know how they work, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
He doesn't fucking know shit.
No,
he doesn't know anything. Yeah, right. I bet he waits until all of this publicity boils down a little bit or bubbles off.
Yeah. Once he reads the Reddit threads explaining it. He says that's a good idea.
That too. But no, I bet he lets it boil down or bubble off and then says, oh, you know, you can see the headlines like Oz Perkins reveals what the dolls really mean in Longlegs, and then it's back in the news, and people 100%. Go watch it again. And
yeah,
I mean, the we could really do a whole, you already said this in a previous episode, but we could really do a whole episode on just the marketing of this film.
Oh yeah, the marketing was better than the movie.
Oh God, I mean, for those
I didn't hate the movie. I want to clarify. I feel like me talking sounds like I would still recommend seeing this movie. I just had some issues with it. That's my only thing.
I'm just gonna write down on this napkin what I think your rating is, and then as you give it, I'm gonna show it because I know that I'm right.
Okay.
But no, I mean, for those that don't know, I'm personally a corporate marketing girly. And this movie was a masterclass in social campaigns. Like, I mean, really I purposely did not engage in any of it until after I saw the movie, and then kind of went back and read what people were saying about it and got to experience some of it after the fact. But like, fuck, I would have seen this movie even if I wasn't a horror fan because the marketing was so good. Like, it just really it was fun. It was unique. It really made you want to see the movie.
Yeah. And a couple examples, if anybody missed it, they had billboards with nothing but a phone number, and when you called it, it was Nick Cage's character like talking to you. I think he said, I'll be waiting. If the number was called before it released, and now after it's been released, it'll say like happy birthday. Like he'll sing happy birthday.
I don't think it's live anymore. I tried calling it a couple times earlier today.
Oh, really? So it must have been like just when it first released. They had a series of short videos containing ciphers. They had a series of images on Instagram. The trailers initially like the teaser trailers that were initially released weren't even called Longlegs trailers. Like they just had these like weird titles, like you've got the teeth of the Hydra upon you. Weird. Yeah. It was so interesting. We talked about it on here, but they had a website for the murders called thebirthaymurders.net, which showed like photos of the crime scene. I don't know if that's still up. I actually didn't ever go to that because I didn't want anything spoiled.
Oh yeah, me neither.
They said that it was pictures of the things. So there were like lots of little things like that. There were cool little marketing techniques. And I enjoyed it. I loved the marketing for this. It made me very excited to see it.
Yeah, same. A favorite, like the most compelling one for me was the like Maika Monroe like spot. It wasn't like it wasn't really a trailer. It was like an ad where she's seeing him for the first time in character, and it like caught her heart rate and it spiked to 170 from like a 75 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was a fun little... I literally heard people talking about that in the theater next to me, too.
Cute. Yeah, I mean, the marketing definitely worked.
It did work.
If the movie had a $3 million budget, $1 million of that went to marketing. And boy, did that fucking pay off. I
don't think that they include marketing in the budget.
No?
I want to say that that's a separate thing.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that marketing is like a separate budget than the actual filming budget.
Yeah, so like the $3 million is like production budget. That's fair. That's fair. But I know that the return on investment for that is insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's currently $17 million.
Well, no, I mean, if once you include the marketing,
that's true.
It wouldn't be 70 million, but still, yeah. I'm sure it's high.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it definitely got people to the theater to see the movie.
Yeah, which is a feat in today's day and age. So,
yeah,
yep.
I don't know. I wonder if it'll like. I don't think it'll hurt it in any way, but I do think like some people will go to the theater and be like, oh, like that wasn't as good as the marketing. And so I wonder how many, if that trend will continue to go up, like if it'll keep making money or if it'll drop off at one point. Because like the scores have already gone down on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It was in the 90s for critics. And then audience, obviously, until it's released, it doesn't have a score. But
yeah,
it's already gone down on both. And like the audience isn't as high.
Yeah. The Google audience score is a little below 60% also.
Is it?
It's a little lower, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fair, to each their own.
Yeah. I was going to say, I see like 81% of Google users liked this movie, but then in the reviews, it's currently at a 2.9.
Yeah, just below.
It's like 5 stars, 1 star.
Yes.
And like a couple in between.
Yeah. No, you're so right. Yeah. That's what I was talking about. 2.9. What is that? Like 58?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good math.
Or is it 68? No, it's 58. Yeah.
58.
Yeah. It was good math for a second until I doubted myself.
Yeah. You gotta believe.
Yeah, just put your whole pussy into it. Well, any other fun facts? Or should we rate it?
I just want to say that I like that the way that they indicated that it took place in the 90s was just by putting a giant picture of Bill Clinton being that was really funny.
I don't know if like the FBI is known for putting pictures of the current president on their office walls, but I mean, whatever you gotta do.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, so the Polaroid, the music choices, the like puffy jacket.
Oh yeah, but I think that's almost more to my point is that it was very clearly not set in today's time. Like,
right.
She's using a home phone. Like
that too, yes.
She doesn't have a cell phone. Like it was very clearly in the 90s.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton's just there too.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
There was more like humor in this than I thought that there was going to be.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. The scene where they go to the institution and they're like, oh, do you require IDs for people signing in? And the guy's like, that would be a great idea if we did that. But we don't.
Yes. I loved him.
So funny.
Yes, that one elicited quite the chuckle in our theater.
Same, yeah. That was a good moment.
Yeah.
All right, should we rate it?
Yeah, let's rate it.
Okay.
How scary did you think it was?
I gave it a 2 out of 5 because it did creep me out at first. And I was really like, I went into the theater and I was like, okay, allow yourself to be scared. And like the first little jump scare was creepy. And then him in the background of her house, terrifying. But then, like I said, that one scene kind of like disarmed me, and then from then I don't think there was a moment that really scared me after that, except for like the jump scare, but that was just kind of loud. That wasn't.
Which?
I think it's when she looks at the photo and realizes that it's him, and it just like cuts to like the snakes and the screech or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was too loud. I didn't like that. Osgood, don't do that again to me. Too loud.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it didn't stay with me. I came home, I walked through 3 rooms in my dark apartment before I turned on a light, so clearly I wasn't freaked out after that. What about you?
Fair. I gave it a 2.5.
Okay.
What was scary to me is that there are people like Longlegs in the world. And I know that I am the first person to say that crime is not scary, but when you look at it through that like lens of Longlegs representing the like harmful religious and political ideologies, it's really fucking scary.
Got it.
And the character itself was extremely off-putting. This is by far his scariest villain, I would say. I was terrified of him compared to other Renfield, for example.
Well, no, that was just a silly time.
Yeah. But yeah, and I also thought the movie was largely unpredictable. I did not realize that it was going to go the direction that it did. I did know that Lee was going to have some sort of connection to Longlegs. But like that fact that I didn't know where it was going made it a little bit more immersive. And then there were some jump scares.
Yeah.
So all that combined, 2.5.
How sexy did you think it was? Those long legs.
Yeah, those long legs that you see one time at the bus stop.
That weren't that long.
That were just pretty regular. Very man of him to think that his legs were longer than they are.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a 2.
Okay.
I gave it just a touch of sexy because it did remind me of Silence.
Okay.
And then the
Silence is way sexier.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then there's like the like kind of tone of like the red snake sequences and the 90s vibe. So I just had to give it a little bit. What'd you give it?
I give it a 1.5.
Oh, okay.
A lighter touch of sexy, if you will.
Yeah.
Mainly just, for Maika Monroe. She deserves it.
Yeah.
She's earned it.
Yeah. Love her.
Yeah, she's great. Big fan.
Everybody's favorite actor kite surfer combo.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah. How fucked up did you think it was?
I give it a 1.5.
Okay.
Mainly for, I think, the face bashing. I don't know, it didn't feel like I could give it a 1, so I gave it a little bit higher. The face bashing was a little graphic. Yeah. What about you?
I gave it a 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I originally had it at a 2.
Okay.
Because the concept of like dads killing their kids is really uncomfortable for me. And there was some pretty shocking gore, to your point. The like face smashing was not amazing. And then and then I gave it an extra 0.5 for Nick Cage's performance because he did a really good job. It was depraved. It was unique. It was chilling. I think he deserves half a point for that. So 2.5.
All right. Sex.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Overall, hit me.
Our scores are very different. I can guarantee it.
Probably.
Yeah. I gotta go with my heart on this one. This movie is Modern Silence of the Lambs, and I'd be a fucking hypocrite if I did not rate it well. It was the right amount of everything. Story, right amount of scary. It had amazing acting. It was original, but also took the right amount of inspo from other things. It was the perfect length. It was not too long. It was like did not overstay its welcome. Nailed the tone, nailed the marketing, nailed the casting, nailed the cinematography. I deducted only half a point. I gave it a 4.5. Not once did we actually see Nicolas Cage's long legs. I would have loved more.
Not enough long legs.
Not enough long legs in the movie called Long Legs. But no, seriously, I would have enjoyed more of that character. And something was a little off about the mom. Something was a little off about the story at the end. Act 3, I guess, as you've been calling it, which is accurate. I can't really put my finger on it, but it didn't bother me. Like I still really enjoyed the story. And I don't think it deserves anything less than a 4.5. This is my favorite movie of the year.
Ugh.
Yeah. What about you?
Ready?
Yeah.
I gave it a 3.5.
Oh,
you suck.
I said 2.5.
No, I said I didn't hate it. 2.5 is not a good
2.5 isn't
score.
hating it.
That's
you
true.
definitely talked like you gave it a 2.5.
I know, but then I clarified. I'm talking like I really did not like this movie. There were things about this movie, again, that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
The cinematography was fantastic. The acting was fantastic. 2/3 of it was great story-wise. I just think that the movie would have been better if she actually was like piecing together this mystery rather than a giant exposition dump in the third act where the mom just tells you what happened the whole time. That was so bad. I hated that moment. Maybe if the mom's relationship to Longlegs was a little bit more ambiguous and a little bit more interesting, that would have been cool. If it wasn't Satan in a doll's head, that would have been a little bit cool. I don't know. Or maybe if at the end, like, Satan was unleashed and there was like something to leave you kind of being like, oh my god, like, at least we got somewhere with this. But I hated that they dumped any ounce of ambiguity. They just straight up said, yeah, all of this is just the devil's work. Oz Perkins has another movie that touches on Satanism, and I thought that that was way better in that aspect, where the entire thing is very ambiguous, and at the end, there's a debate to be had about whether you think, like, this was Satan or this was just in their head. Like, that is much more interesting to me in a script than just blatantly saying, like, sorry, mommy had to do murder. That's literally, like, not even that far off of what she says.
Yeah.
There was a woman who used to be a nurse, but now her job was murdering families. That's a terrible line. That's bad writing. I'm sorry. And that's why I had to take points away. And I will say, in this movie's credit, I was let down. I felt like the marketing was masterful. I had seen so many people that I follow on like TikTok talk about this movie in high regards and give it 5 out of 5 stars and say that it's the best movie of the year. I don't think so. It's not even in my top 3. So that's where I'm at with it.
Hot take.
I know. I'm sorry.
What did Cinema Joe give it?
5 out of 5.
That's
And I said in his comment section, I'm blaming you personally if this movie disappoints me. So, Cinema Joe, you and I have beef. You don't know who I am, but so we have beef.
Well, interesting that I'm the one that's closer to Cinema Joe's review compared to you.
I usually agree with him, but every once in a while he steers me wrong. And you know what it is, I think? I think I've pinpointed what it is that me and him do not agree on. I'm talking about him like he's a close personal friend now.
Yeah. You know, Joe.
It's that Joe, my pal Joe, loves stylistic choices. And he will put that above substance. And so I think that that is true in this movie. I think that that is true in Infinity Pool. I think that that is true in A Violent Nature. All of those movies, he gave high reviews, and all of those movies left me disappointed. And so I think it's just, I think that's what it is. I think you put some jazzy cinematography in front of that man and he'll eat it up.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is not a 5. There's room for improvement. There's room for improvement, but I do agree that it's better than what you thought it was. Crazy.
That's totally fair. And I might rewatch this in a year. And but that's my thing. Like, I didn't hate it. Like, I wasn't mad to sit through it again. Like, I was interested to like see those moments that I missed and catch on some of the foreshadowing that I missed and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe in a year I'll rewatch it. Because I mean, the same thing happened with Hereditary and A Quiet Place. Like, both of those were so hyped up that initially when I watched them, I was disappointed. I still don't think either of those are a 5 out of 5 for me, but like, I did rate them much higher when we reviewed them on the podcast than I would have the day after watching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could go higher, or maybe I'll think about the killer dolls a little bit more and rate it lower. Who's to say?
Again, the dolls weren't killing anybody. It was the devil.
That. I'm just saying, the devil inside a doll's head is a stupid fucking ending.
I don't think that the like brain of the doll was necessary.
That's where the devil lives, Katie. So he had to be there. Yeah,
but does the devil need a metal orb in which to live? Like,
does the devil need a doll in the first place? That's my issue, Katie.
It needs some sort of disciple. It needs a vehicle for spreading the word, the good word.
Here's what I'm gonna say. This is a fictional story about the devil. So no, he doesn't. He works however you decide he works.
Well, however, Oz decides he works, and Oz doesn't even know.
And he...
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, anyways.
Well, I don't think this is the best
That's
movie
fine.
of the year, but it is my favorite horror movie so far.
Mine's still I Saw the TV Glow. That one's up there for me. And then
Yeah.
what were the other... I was like, I have at least 2 other movies that I would give 4 out of 5 stars. Lisa Frankenstein, I gave 4 out of 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's a bop. I think I like The First Omen better.
So I haven't seen it.
That movie slaps. We should watch it.
Okay. Is it part of the Omen series?
Yeah, it's a prequel to the original.
Oh, it's the first. That makes sense.
It's the first one?
Yeah. That does make sense. It's the first Omen.
Yeah. And like we did the Omen. I wasn't even that huge of a fan of the Omen.
Well,
Like, it's a decent
outdated.
movie. It's fine. I didn't think I guess that does contribute to it too, though. Like I went into the first Omen with like kind of expectations. So when it exceeded my expectation, I think that pushed it up,
Yeah. Fair.
Anyways.
That's the risk of really good marketing, I guess.
It is.
Everybody's hopes up.
Yeah.
Worked on me.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
And we were a point off. It's not that crazy of a difference.
That's 20%.
It's not nearly our biggest dispute.
That's 20% and 2 letter grades.
Okay.
It's a pretty big.
The menu is still our biggest discrepancy.
Don't even get me started. I need to watch it again. It's
know.
about time.
No, we already decided. We're watching it on Friday the 13th when you're at my
Oh,
house.
yeah,
so that we
yeah,
can
yeah.
hold hands and cuddle.
Yeah.
And I can be like, wasn't that funny, Katie? And you'll be like, it was!
We can all laugh together. Oh, it'll be so
Yeah.
fun. We'll have mimosas
Yes.
and snacks.
So many mimosas and snacks.
Yeah, okay. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
All right. Question of the year. Would you survive Longlegs?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not 9,
Great.
nor do
Yeah.
I have a 9-year-old.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I'm good.
Yeah.
What about you?
I said, yeah, my birthday's not on the 14th, so easy peasy.
Oh yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
If
Your
we
kid's birthday
combined
is
our
not-
birthdays, we're fucked. The podcast is dead. Oh shit.
No, that's not
No.
how Longlegs works.
Yeah, and no, my kid's birthday is not on the 14th.
Yeah, exactly. So we're both good. This is the easiest one. So no, well, there's another that are easier, but this one
Yeah.
was pretty easy, unless you're born on the 14th. In which case,
Sorry.
up to you, I guess. Sorry, all
Yeah.
the 9-year-olds listening who have birthdays.
Statistically, though,
hmm
how many of those are there?
I don't know, because it could be any month.
Any
12
month, so
out of
that's-
365.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Well, anyway.
Great. We had to film out of order because
Yeah.
this is a new movie, so you've already seen next week's film.
Thank God.
Oh,
Makes my brain hurt. That's the
Oh.
movies.
again, I do want to clarify that you chose.
It was
to
my
do
idea.
that
Yeah, I know. I enjoyed it. It just makes my head hurt.
Yeah, that's
And I never
fair.
get it right. Sometimes you just want to win, you know?
But I think what's going to be great is that on episode 375, you're going to get it right. And we're going to lose our goddamn minds.
Yeah. I hope so. And
Remember when you got Sarah's name right in The Descent?
that was
went
insane. that was great.
Be like
Yeah.
that, but better.
Yeah. Yeah. I just threw out all my aunts and cousins' names when I did the Descent.
I like it. Well, yeah, next week, I guess we'll tell the audience what we're watching. We're watching Fresh, a Hulu original.
Yeah, I've seen
Um,
that.
Katie's already seen it.
I have.
So yeah. I'm excited though.
Me
I'm
too.
excited to hear it. Nope. Hold on. I'm excited for everybody to hear us talk about that movie.
Me too.
Great.
Lots of cannibal things happening.
When was
Well,
the
'cause
last
we-
cannibal thing?
And then Silence of the Lambs, and then
Oh, okay. The relation to a movie about cannibalism.
yeah, and then also another. Didn't we just do another cannibal movie?
We did Fresh.
We did Raw. We did
Raw was
Silence.
in April, babe.
It wasn't even that long. Really? In April?
That was April.
So we recorded that in March. Oh my God, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
4 months ago.
I know. That's what I'm telling you.
God, time flies.
Time flies when you're making a podcast with your pal.
Yeah. It really does. All right, well, thanks for listening.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe.
Please.
Really
and let us know what you
out.
thought of Longlegs.
That too.
I want to know. I want to discover a love for this movie. I'm jealous.
Who's right? Who's right?
Me.
And why is it me?
No. The great thing about rating is that it's all subjective.
It's subjective.
Everybody's right because it's how you felt about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you gave this a 1, you're wrong. If you gave this a 5, you're absolutely wrong.
See how she said the absolutely before the 5? I think that's telling. Anyways.
Well, there is very clearly stuff to... It's not a 1, but there are some things it could work on. More Nicolas Cage.
Less giant exposition dump from the mom.
Yeah, it was rough, but...
Yeah, that was bad.
It was okay. It was all right.
Especially because at that point in the movie, we already knew basically everything she was telling us.
True.
Yeah. Anyways, cool. Let us know what you thought about Longlegs. Keep an eye out for Fresh next week. And thank you for listening.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.